It's 6:30 in the nation's economic capital, Douala. You're on to Prime News on My Media Prime. Thanks for following today's edition of 6:30 Prime News. My name is Genda Peldrin Blanche King. We'll begin the news this evening from the southwest region of the country. Our sources from the southwest region in Limbe precisely have confirmed a swift attack carried out by unidentified individuals around Moliwe. Earlier today, the roads were temporarily blocked and some vehicles burned. The intervention from forces of law and order restored a relative calm around the area. We bring you details of this on a subsequent edition of the newscast. Stay with us. A 17-year-old boy has been apprehended by law enforcement officers for allegedly kidnapping the mother of his 6-year-old nephew in Mvokmba, a locality in the south region of the country. From Quinta with details in the following report.
This is what is left of a 6-year-old kid, allegedly murdered by his 17-year-old nephew, Gaiten Kolo in Vomba, a locality 6 kilometers from Biwongbani, subdivision south region of Cameroon. According to reports, the 17-year-old resident in Vomba kidnapped and allegedly murdered his 6-year-old nephew after a fight with their grandmother. After search for the deceased to no avail, family was hinted by sister to the deceased that Gaiteng and the brother were lastly seen heading to an unknown destination. After pressure on Gaiteng and a promise of the sum of 20,000 francs Cfa so he could escape if he reveals where the child was, the alleged killer admitted he murdered his nephew and buried him under a tree at a nearby bull. In an amateur video, the body of the deceased was exhumed for proper burial, while 17-year-old Gaiten Kulu, said to be a drug addict, is currently under police custody.
Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, has prohibited the organization of holiday classes as well as catch-up classes during this vacation period. This is in line with government strategies to fight against COVID-19 in the country. Dolly Gonde with details.
In a communique recently signed by the secondary education boss, Professor Pauline Nalova Lyonga, holiday and catch-up classes, which are usually the norms characterizing the third-term vacation period, will not be observed this year. The decision, which has rather come as a shock to many scholars, teachers and parents, is one that has been motivated to meet up with government's efforts to curb the spread of the ravaging coronavirus pandemic in the country. Reading through the communique, the ban cuts across both the private and public institutions of learning, but to many, the decision is limited.
Je pense que par rapport au fait qu'il faut laisser les enfants à la maison pour éviter la propagation du Covid, bon, c'est une bonne idée comme ce n'est pas une bonne idée. C'est une bonne idée dans la mesure où ça réduit la propagation du Covid. Donc, en restant à la maison, ça empêche la propagation de la maladie. Mais les enfants restent à la maison, ils n'ont rien à faire. Ce qui fait que ça va créer peut-être, on va dire ça comment on appelle ça, la délinquance.
La situation que on a même les enfants sont à la maison depuis 4 mois là. Il y a même des enfants qui sont morts parce que les parents étaient obligés. Les parents pensaient déjà que ce sont les vacances. Ils ont fait des choses que les enfants allaient vendre au marché et ils ont été persécutés par des voitures. Il y a même des enfants qui sont actuellement grosses à cause de ces trucs qui a renvoyé les enfants à la maison à cause de la maladie de corona qu'on dit, qui a renvoyé les enfants à la maison. Donc je connais les filles qui sont déjà même, qui sont grosses à cause de... Alors que si l'école continuait, ça ne devait pas arriver.
To the student, staying at home with no knowledge acquired will have a negative impact on his ability to pick up come the next academic year, and as such has this proposal to make.
Il propose que c'est aussi vrai qu'on continue avec Internet, non? Non, avec la chaîne de télé, parce que Internet, de une information au sérieux avec Internet. Donc, en fait, on fait dans les chaînes de télévision. Dans toutes les chaînes, oui, Canal 2, et TV, tout même les médias. Parce qu'à Internet, les gens ne vont pas prendre au sérieux. Ils vont blaguer avec.
Meanwhile, the minister on her part has clearly stated that great sanctions await defaulters as the decision is geared towards curbing the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in the country.
Reverend Father Cretan of Our Lady of Annunciation Parish, Bonamoussadi Douala, has challenged Catholic faithfuls to remain steadfast in their services towards God. This was during the Mass marking the 2020 edition of the Feast of Assumption on Saturday, which took place under strict respect of all anti-COVID measures instituted by the government of the country. Eileen Sama was there and compiled the following.
Catholic Christians of the Our Lady of the Annunciation Parish, Bonamoussadi Douala, celebrated the Feast of the Assumption under very strict barrier measures against the coronavirus pandemic. The Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary commemorates the death of Mary, Jesus' mother, and her bodily assumption into heaven before her body could begin to decay. According to Kenneth Tawong, the Feast of Assumption is an assurance of every Christian's glorious destiny.
The Feast of Assumption to me is a reminder, that there are better things to come for us. When we talk about Jesus Christ going up to heaven, body and soul, people realize that anyway it's God who went up body and soul. But Mary was not God. Mary was a human being like you and me, and that he could attain this kind of glory is an assurance for us that we too will get there one day. So it's a very big feast for us. We are also celebrating our own glorious destiny, as we could already see it in Mary's Assumption today.
To Michelle Luguet, the Feast of the Assumption is a great feast for Catholics, but with the COVID-19, this year's feast lacked the usual pomp.
En tant que chrétien catholique, la fête de 15 août, c'est la montée de Marie au ciel et c'est une fête dans l'église catholique qui a toujours été célébrée vraiment dans le monde entier, dans tous les catholiques. Et aussi, c'est souvent une grande fête. Malheureusement, avec la crise sanitaire, on constate qu'il y a peu de monde, elle n'est pas émouvante comme d'habitude.
For the Catholic women, it is a reminder to all about Mary's fiat or yes to God.
Assumption Day is an important day for the Catholic women. We are doing it as a child and children of Mama Maria. And who is Mama Maria? Mama Maria is the mother of our Savior, Jesus Christ. And why we celebrate this feast? Because we want to remind ourselves the fiat, fiat is yes, given to God by Mama Maria today.
Highlights at the event included infant baptism and a huge offertory procession led by the Catholic women.
To mark this year's celebration of the Feast of Assumption in the Northwest region, the Christians of Holy Trinity Quasi-Parish Womb Menchum Division have been reminded of the need to pray without ceasing. As our reporter Charles Kibwa tells us from the Northwest region of Cameroon.
These holy and unblemished sacrifices, which will offer you firstly,
celebrations to mark the Feast of Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary to heaven, body and soul in the Northwest region. To mark the day, celebrations at the Holy Trinity Quasi-Parish Womb amidst the ongoing sociopolitical and health crisis welcomed their new priest, Reverend Father Paul Fru, as well as a newly ordained Reverend Father Vitalis Nsolkika, presiding his first Mass after his ordination 4th August 2020 at the Bamenda Metropolitan Cathedral. Reading from the Gospel of Matthew and reflecting on the theme, I am a proud Catholic, chosen as God-favored Mother Mary, the faithfuls were called to emulate the examples of the Blessed Virgin Mary and to thank God for the newly ordained priest who spent most of his pastoral formation at the Holy Trinity Quasi-Parish Womb.
Makes us proud in the positive sense that we have had one new servant at the number, because the mandate is always rich in the members.
As proud Catholic priests and formators through the Immaculate Conception who went to heaven, body and soul, Christians were reminded to pray continuously, be with their priest as proud Catholics.
For all the Christians in this Blessed Parish Womb and those missionary, that there should be that harmonious need to assist their priests, to pray more special for their priests, and to help them to be holy priests, not just any priest, holy priests, because the church needs holy priests. And if the priests are holy, then the community will be holy.
Ensure they grow as faithful servants in the Lord's vineyard and by the grace of God, keep defending the Catholic Church.
Away from the northwest region, youths of Bafoland have opened a youth leadership forum. This forum will empower the youths to create opportunities for capacity buildings which will fit the Bafo community into the contemporary society. Tamfu Sidwan Dimbia is in Kumba. He tells us more in the following report.
At the Bafo Youth Leadership Forum, launched on Saturday, August 15, 2020, the chairman of the initiative, His Royal Highness Mfon Ekoko Mukete, without mixing words, confidently stated that the leadership of the future lies in the hands of the youths.
I was essentially saying that the future belongs to the youth. I mean, whatever we're doing now is for the future. We invest for the future. And the Bafo youth should not be left out of it.
The forum focused on education, mentorship, capacity building, and more as ingredients that will boost the youth's empowerment in the Bafo society, as the youth will also be equipped with tools which will help them fit into the contemporary society.
Now, this forum was actually created to empower the Bafo youth with skills and equip them with tools for creating a sustainable future. Now it is believed and we are confident that after this forum, these youths will actually live here with skills and later on they'll have access to tools that will help them in their different areas of life.
To some of the speakers at the event, the Bafo Youth Leadership Forum is timely and will help in building a desire for effective and efficient mentorship, which will lead to a brighter future.
I particularly was focused on education and mentorship because I think that mentorship is a gateway, an education, a gateway to unlocking the potential of the youth for entry into society and just adjusting into society.
Because this is going to help us in the long run to develop, and we are going to follow the trend. This platform that has been created today is going to help one way or the other in building capacity.
The Bafo Youth Leadership Forum, launched under the theme Placing Bafo Youth at the Center of Implementation of Development Agendas, may just answer the numerous questions on why youths are not employed even after acquiring skills in the various sectors and the leadership milieu which is void of youth participation.
Thanks, Tamfu Sidwan Dimbia, for ending that report. Gladys Bomotongina takes us through the African continent for what makes news.
Une attaque meurtrière dans un hôtel habituellement fréquenté par les membres du gouvernement somali a coûté la vie d'au moins 10 civils et un policier, laissant au moins 28 blessés ce dimanche 16 août 2020. Cela aurait débuté par l'explosion d'un véhicule piégé, puis par les échanges de coups de feu entre les forces armées somaliennes et les djihadistes, donc 5, ont succombé avant d'être maîtrisés par l'armée. Parlant toujours de la violence, l'archevêque Robert Ndolvu, président du ZCBC au Zimbabwe, est accusé par le Premier ministre de l'Information d'œuvrer à un génocide prochain dans le pays au regard des écrits inscrits dans une lettre lue lors de la conférence des évêques vendredi dernier, y critiquant la répression du pouvoir contre les opposants, présentant une inquiétude sur la crise sociale économique à venir au Zimbabwe. L'évêque catalogué d'esprit maléfique est accusé de soutenir sa tribu, l'Ndebele, au détriment de celle du président appelé Shona. Le principal parti d'opposition, le MDC, demande au gouvernement de s'excuser face à des propos aussi choquants. Le Soudan, l'Égypte et l'Éthiopie se sont mis en accord pour présenter une proposition de gestion du barrage électrique du Nil, se trouvant à Addis Abeba, en Éthiopie. Décision qui se prendra donc demain après qu'ils aient siégé. Pour conclure ce chapitre de la violence dans cette actualité, les dirigeants de la Mozambique ont organisé une réunion virtuelle se tenant ce même lundi 17 août 2020 en vue de résoudre les problèmes de violence récurrents et s'accentuant dans le pays au risque de toucher les pays voisins.
The reports from the African continent puts an end on today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. Thanks for being a part. Join us tomorrow at 6:30, God willing, For another edition of Prime News on My Media Prime, we benefited from the technical expertise of Ewane Eli Nolinga with coordinations from Faith Tata Berenyoy. My name is Genda Pelgin Blanche King. At 7 p.m. Cameroon time, Kim Leonard and his crack team of analysts will be here to analyze recent happenings in the country and why not Africa. Stay with us as you enjoy a Prime Hour at 7 p.m. Good night.